This is Untether.tv, where we get inside the business of mobile. Here's your host, Rob Woodbridge.
Hi everybody, welcome to Untether.tv, where we get inside the business of mobile. I'm joined again by Sam Taggart from VaynerMedia to talk about his latest initiative with the New Jersey Nets and what they did in front of Madison Square Garden and involving Gowalla again. And we want to touch on a number of topics around this location-based marketing and location-based services in this session. So we'll get right to it. Sam, thanks for coming on again and sharing again what you guys have done, extending this business into mainstream. Appreciate you doing it.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me about, we covered the free ticket giveaway that the Nets did around the last game of the season, when we had you on in April. But now let's talk about this latest initiative that the Nets have done with Gowalla at the bottom. I think it's the bottom left corner of this massive billboard. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So, I work with VaynerMedia. We're a digital branding agency in New York City, and one of our clients is the New Jersey Nets, and we ran a campaign with them and Gowalla back in April, and it went really well, and we were really pleased with the results. So we've talked about doing more campaigns with Gowalla, but actually about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, the Nets approached us and said that they were putting up a 250 by 98 foot wall at 34th and 8th in Midtown Manhattan, a block away from Madison Square Garden. And they wanted to know if we had any ideas for adding creative or any messaging. So of course we did. The actual billboard was called The Blueprint for Greatness, and it featured Mikhail Prokhorov, who's the team's new owner, as well as Jay-Z, who's a minority owner in the Nets. And it was really kind of a message just to speak to New York, the New York audience, and let them know that the Nets are kind of here. They're moving to Brooklyn in 2 years. They really want to challenge the Knicks to be New York's team. So it was a pretty bold statement by them. So what we suggested was obviously to put Facebook.com/NetsBasketball, Twitter.com/NetsBasketball, just to get that information out there and visible to the audience that's passing by on a daily basis. But we also wanted to kind of push the envelope a little bit more, and that was by adding messaging at the bottom of the wall that said, check in with Gowalla to receive a special item. So we wanted to add, another layer to the wall. It had a phone number to call, a website, then it had Facebook and Twitter, and then we wanted to push it even more and kind of bring geolocation into the wall, because we figured, hey, this is an actual real spot where people can come and check in, and then in return, they get this special item. So it was really about adding a layer to the wall and extending the story from a traditional media platform that is just a one-way interaction. The messaging goes from the wall to the user, and then we wanted to build that to make it from the wall to the user, and the user can then interact essentially with the wall. So it was, we thought it was a pretty cool campaign. It was a giant wall in the middle of New York City.
It's pretty massive.
And Gowalla was happy about the inclusion as well. So it was a good move all around, I thought.
So Gowalla, Austin-based,
right.
Foursquare, New York-based. A lot of talk. I saw the article on TechCrunch about Gowalla doing it to Foursquare in their home turf.
Right.
That was brought because of the relationship that you guys have with the Nets, and the fact that it's not a mayoral sign-in; it's kind of a free-for-all for anybody who can sign in, right?
Right. There were a couple reasons that we used Gowalla over Foursquare. That's been brought up a lot, actually. There was an article in Business Insider, I think, that really kind of hammered the fact that we should have used Foursquare with this. One of them was simply timing. We got word from the Nets about 5 days before the wall was set to be painted. It was painted, actually. It was a paint by numbers thing, so they actually got up there and painted all the messaging and the creative on there. So we knew that because of our relationship with Gowalla, we could get it done quickly, and that was quite simply one of the reasons we did it. Another reason was that Gowalla still is the only, or still compared to Foursquare, is the one that allows virtual items, which allows anybody that checks in to be rewarded rather than just one person, the mayor. So that's another big thing that we're always trying to. We always want to reward as many people as possible rather than one person. Yeah. So Gowalla really allows us to do that a lot better. But yeah, I saw that in TechCrunch they paired Gowalla invading Foursquare's territory and the Nets invading the Knicks territory with comparison there. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple reasons we went with Gowalla, but overall, we're happy with the choice, and Gowalla's happy with the choice, and the Nets are happy with the choice as well. So. I think it was good.
It's a pretty I mean, just from an aside, I know you're a basketball fan. I mean, it's a pretty aggressive move from the Nets. To be basically, I followed an article. I don't even remember where it went, but it was it said that the Knicks owner was a little angry the fact that this was allowed and right across from MSG and in their turf, right? So
the Knicks actually. I think James Dolan is his name. He reached out to Jay-Z personally and said his employees were intimidated by the sign, because you can actually, as a Knicks employee from their office building, you could actually see straight at the sign. I mean, it was clearly in their view, and obviously anybody that gets off at Penn Station. Another one of the reasons the Nets did this was because the Nets are moving to Newark next year. They're moving to Brooklyn the year after, and both the Newark Arena and the Brooklyn Arena will be very accessible from Penn Station. Yeah. So that's really an audience they want to target, is people that are coming to and from Penn Station on a daily basis. Let them know that the Nets are going to be pretty accessible on their travel to and from work. So there were a bunch of reasons. Yeah, but from a basketball standpoint, very aggressive. And the Nets didn't meet fan expectations in free agency. They were expected to maybe get LeBron or one of the big three free agents, and then the Knicks ended up getting Amari.
Yeah.
The Nets are going a little bit of a different way, building up with small time free agents and really trying to play the role that get guys that will play the role of the new coach. So fans weren't incredibly happy about the moves during free agency, but the move in general. By the Nets to put that big sign there, and kind of it was a big aggressive move towards the Knicks. You can't really go away from that.
That's like a VaynerMedia move, right? Something big like that. It's like, well, why can't we do it? We'll do it anyways.
Yeah, and it's big in your face, but the Nets marketing department. I've said this before. They're just really aggressive, and they're not they're willing to do whatever they feel is right. So that's what they did.
So they put up this massive billboard right across from MSG,
right.
and they've included every way to get in touch with them. And one of those, as we've talked about, is Gowalla. So check in here. So you literally walk up to that billboard within a perimeter and check in, right?
Yeah. Gowalla forces the user to be within a certain location. A Foursquare, you can be. You don't have to be within close proximity to check in, but with Gowalla you do. So that was one more reason to use Gowalla. Basically, you get there, you check in, or you pull up Gowalla, you see the feed. It was called Nets Blueprint for Greatness. You check in, and right away it asks you to follow the Nets on Gowalla. So
now, was that built? I mean, that's not a standard implication.
No, that's not standard. That was built in for this campaign. Yeah. So when you decide to follow the Nets, then it only follows them right there, but. The reason we did it was that we built in these trips around New York City that people that follow the Nets can then access these trips. Well, actually, anyone can access the trips, but from the Nets branded Gowalla page, you can access these trips. One was a New York-based trip, or Manhattan. One was Brooklyn-based, and one was Newark-based. And it was really just an effort to get fans kind of going around the new areas where the Nets will be focused and getting to know them. So it was that was a pretty cool advantage that we got to have was you check in and right away you have the ability to follow the Nets on Gowalla.
Yeah.
After that happened, you were instructed to actually no, you received a special item. So that was a kind of in the theme of the blueprint wall. It was just a Nets kind of graphic, and then you check in. So we had, I think to this point, we've had about 100 people or 100 check-ins.
Yeah.
There have all been a bunch of photos taken and a lot of really positive reactions. So it's been cool. It's been a lot of fun to see it kind of grow. and it's going to be up there for another couple weeks, so there's still more time.
So that's my next question. It's going to be up there for a total of what, 3 weeks or 4 weeks?
It'll be about 4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so it's an ongoing campaign and always looking to add to it. And, from the Gowalla standpoint, we might change things around on the Nets branded page. So once you follow the Nets on Gowalla, you might have different opportunities. So we're just kind of, it's an ongoing thing that we're in the middle of right now.
Now, is there any plan to now that all these people are following the Nets? Is there any plan to leverage that during the season, or is there is that kind of an ongoing thing that they're looking at as well?
Yep, we're the Nets page will exist from now on. It's not going to go away. So anybody that follows the Nets will definitely have an opportunity to interact with them through Gowalla in the future. We're looking to keep on working with Gowalla. They've been really great.
Yep.
And we're going to do some stuff throughout the season. I can't really talk about it in depth, but we're going to work on the game day experience. We're going to work on more trips focused around players maybe, and coaches and just the brand, and really kind of create this just a big kind of experience for fans around Gowalla, and it's going to be fun. I think in the next couple of months, I start to see more and more things that we're doing with them.
So what were the what were your hopes from this? Or I mean, with 5 days before it goes up, this is one of those great things that you don't have to really provide them with a document that says this is what we anticipate and these are our expectations. But in doing so, in putting Gowalla, checking in capabilities there and working with Gowalla, what were the hopes? Were there any, or
Well, I think when the Nets really asked us, they asked us, what do you want to add? So we thought, I think Twitter and Facebook, like I said, were obvious choices. But then it was really, the Nets are always striving to be innovative and forward thinking, and always trying to think about what's the coolest thing that we can do, and what's going to put us in a spot where we look like we're ahead of the game. And we thought about sticky bits, but we thought about putting a big sticky bit up there and having people scan in, but it turned out the wall was actually 100 feet above the ground, so
like QR codes or something like that. Yeah.
It wasn't just, we thought about putting everything up there, we really wanted, it was all about extending the story, and as much as we could get out of it was great, if, we wanted to get some coverage, TechCrunch wrote about it, it's been written about across a lot of tech blogs, and we wanted to really enhance the experience of the wall, people can walk by and say that, oh, that's cool, or they can walk by and then they can interact, and then they can check in and they can get an item, and, and once, another big thing is the fact that they can follow the Nets on Gowalla. It's not just a one-time thing. You check in, it's done. Now you're actually following the Nets, and now you'll be aware of what they're doing down the line. Yeah. So it's just a way to, create change a one-time experience into a long-term experience.
Well, that's a key thing, right? Is that you're trying to capture as many fans, and we talked about this in the last session about the Nets trying to create or capture the next generation of fan, and this is just another one of those ongoing things or ways to do it, isn't it?
Right, exactly. I mean, you have to think about the average person walking on the street. Obviously Gowalla isn't terribly popular yet. I think there's about 350,000 users right now. And in the New York City area, it's pretty small. But you think about people walking on the street, you're on your phone nonstop. These are the people you're trying to attack now. Because you're always on your phone. You have your phone on you if you're not looking down at it, and you're trying to capture these people that are really the young audience, the wave of the future, and Nets. I'm not people that really in New York people get that. People are tech savvy. People are always on their phones, and so we're always trying to attack those people because that's where their eyeballs are, and that's where you go.
Well, we were talking before we started recording. Is that it's always a belief that the convergence of mobile and social is the perfect storm, right? Because you're carrying that device with you wherever you are. You're using it to get places, to communicate with people, to stay on top of things, and it's a natural extension. And services like Gowalla, Foursquare, even there's a service that's based out of New York called Up Next. It's an interactive mapping, vector mapping service. These guys are really, that's a pretty cool thing where you click on a building and you get to find out what's in the building and those kind of things, right?
Yep.
So this is it is the perfect device. Maybe not the best form factor, but the perfect device right now.
Yep.
So so all of a sudden the Nets are everywhere in tech magazines and tech blogs and all these things. So what do you think, just out of curiosity, what do you think is the impact of that on their brand? Because maybe you're not a fan of the Nets and you don't know what their season was like. And so that can't hurt their brand, can it? To be mentioned everywhere as a forefront in marketing, new waves of marketing.
No, I mean, it's really one of our goals, really. The Nets are really embracing technology, social media, and the digital space, and we want to highlight that as much as possible. It's one of their big goals. They want to, and they're always, any team is always about expanding your audience, and what a better audience to reach out to than the tech scene, because there are sports fans in the tech scene, but I'm not so sure. I would imagine that you're probably going to have a much better chance of capturing fans in the tech scene than in the New York Knicks scene. You're attacking an audience that is full of potential, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
They maybe haven't picked one or the other yet, right? But you're not going to convert a Knicks fan to a Nets fan like a Mets fan to a Yankees fan, right?
Right.
Or a Phillies fan.
It is one of the goals of the new owner, but but I'm not sure how likely it is to happen. We'll see. But yeah, we're really trying to, let as many people know about what the Nets are doing as possible, because it never hurts to let people know. And maybe someone will read a story in a blog and see what the Nets are doing and think, man, that's really cool. And maybe they like basketball, and maybe they then become a Nets fan, because there's plenty of geeks out there that like basketball. So it doesn't hurt to attack that audience.
We just saw it, didn't we? Last week. Full prime time.
Yeah.
I think that you couldn't do a Twitter post without bumping into 40 LeBron James posts. It was kind of saturation.
It was crazy. I got overwhelmed. I finally, the day before, or the day of his announcement, I just turned Twitter off. I turned Twitter off, and I just stopped paying attention, because it was so ridiculous. Half of my stream was full of LeBron tweets. So there's clearly some basketball fans out there in the Twitter sphere.
Well, I think and the marriage is perfect, and especially because he joined like the day before he made the decision, and but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic.
I'm sure there's going to be books written about this moment in history from a social media standpoint or a Twitter standpoint as defining moments, right?
Absolutely. You talk about defining moments so far in terms of what Twitter's been able to do for spreading words about current events or breaking news, and you think of the Iran election, you think of Michael Jackson's death, you think of the tsunami, or
the Haiti
earthquake, and then you think about maybe LeBron. That was a pretty massive event that we just experienced. So I think that those four probably are right up there right now.
Pretty incredible, the reach. It's I listen to I think a lot of people do, obviously. He's the penultimate pro blogger in Leo Laporte, and he talked about Twitter being basically the nerve system or of the internet, right? It's whatever you find there is whatever's trending is. I find out that George Steinbrenner dies through Twitter, not through CNN or MLB, but Steinbrenner died. I found out. I think it was your tweet, because it resonates. That's the stuff that trends, and if I can get through the Justin Bieber crap and get to the real news, I'd be a happy guy.
Right? Yeah. It's really remarkable watching how news breaks on Twitter. It's there's no doubt about it. That's the place to find out news before it's broken on CNN or ESPN. I saw a Steinbrenner tweet this morning. I looked on CNN, I looked on ESPN, nothing. Yeah. And then maybe 20 minutes later, it was up there. So it's crazy how quick that news travels. Twitter is pretty remarkable in that sense.
Yeah, it's also pretty crazy how you can be behind in news if you just turn it off for 20 minutes. I don't like that feeling, right? It's a compulsion.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's where mobile comes in, and you don't have to turn it off ever, which is not good as well.
Right.
So about this Gowalla thing, I have a lot of people that come to me as a result of this. I've done 85 of these interviews with mobile entrepreneurs and a lot of companies trying to leverage Gowalla or leverage Foursquare, leverage any kind of location-based marketing. But it's easy to get into couponing like Yowza or Get Clip or a bunch of these other ones, or Yelp or something like that.
Right.
But how, Gowalla always seemed, and Foursquare always seemed to be a challenge, because people think that they have to be much larger brands in order to be able to get into this and to do initiatives with Gowalla
Right.
or with Foursquare. Is that true? How does the average company get involved with these guys and location-based marketing?
Yeah, I don't think that argument stands that small companies can't use Gowalla or Foursquare, because all it takes to set up a venue is you. All you have to do is make a venue and you're there. You're on Gowalla, and that's the barrier to entry. I think that companies can use it takes a lot of money to partner with Foursquare or Gowalla on a big level to run campaigns and to track data and all that stuff. But on a very bare level, if you want to use Gowalla or Foursquare or any platform really to market yourselves and to create specials and offers, and it's possible. All you have to do is, for example, I'm a coffee shop. I want to reward the mayor for just for coming in frequently, and all I have to do is set up, show me your mayorship, and I'll give you some free coffee.
Right.
That's what with Foursquare. With Gowalla,
it's a little tougher because of the virtual goods, right?
Right. It's a little bit tougher, but I mean, the idea is that all you have to do is ask people to show you their screen. Show me that you've checked in with Gowalla, and I'll give you something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. And when it comes to marketing that kind of campaign, well, then you take a step back. How do you market anything else? When it comes down to it, how do you market anything that you do? Is it through your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed? Is it through your website? Is it through newspaper ads or whatever it's through? You shouldn't treat a geolocation campaign any differently than anything else you do, because that's just part of your new marketing objective and your new marketing campaign. So, from a marketing standpoint, from how you promote that kind of campaign, it's just really up to the business owner. I would suggest using social media, because that's not a free way to market yourself. And if you've built up a following, then they're going to respond to something like a Gowalla or a Foursquare campaign, because they're probably the right audience to attack there, because they're already interacting on Twitter, on Facebook, within social media. So they're a good audience to go after. If you haven't already established that kind of following, then maybe you should think about it. But it's 2010 now, right? So
start to get engaged there, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the excuse that you have to be big is a bad one, because I think that if you're big, you can create much more in-depth and elaborate campaigns, and probably get a lot more promotion out of. Gowalla will promote a campaign they're running with a big brand, because they're a big brand. They want to leverage that brand's presence. But so you're not going to get any help from Gowalla or Foursquare if you want to run a campaign with them and you're a small business. But it doesn't mean you can't promote it yourself. Foursquare now offers the ability to create one promotion per venue. So if you can hit up Foursquare, they'll it's an official thing. It'll put it on your Foursquare branded page. So every venue has a page, and if you want to run a promotion, you can easily do it through Foursquare. So I think that they're both making strides to make it easier for small businesses to get involved, but I think that the barrier to entry is very low at this point, and it's just like running anything else. If you want to promote it, you promote it the ways that you run anything else you do. So there's plenty of businesses that use Yelp and say, if you come in and say Yelp, you'll get a free drink. There's no difference there between running a Gowalla or Foursquare campaign. It's the same thing. So I think that maybe small businesses that say that they're worried about that are just maybe worried about using that platform in general. I think it's there's not a big user base there, and it hasn't really proven anything, or it hasn't proven a ton to this point. These are the same people that 2 or 3 years ago were questioning whether to get on Facebook or Twitter. So it's the next wave. This is the next thing in business, and so it's just, you got to take the leap,
Well, I mean, I agree. I think that a lot of larger brands like Starbucks have leveraged Foursquare very effectively, and they haven't partnered with Foursquare. They've just said, look, come walk in, and if you're the mayor, we'll give you $1 off your latte or something like that.
Right.
And they just did that on their own initiative. And there's a few companies that you see around town, or venues that you see around town, that are doing this, waiving cover charge if you're the mayor of this, or if you check in here. So really, the lesson there is anybody can do this. It's got to fit into what you, obviously, whatever your business is. And then you've got to educate your staff and make sure that they are aware of this, because if they check in and the staff doesn't know, you'll create a bad experience.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something you have to go all in for. You have to make sure that at every level you're prepared for this type of campaign. But I definitely recommend it. I think that geolocation is quite small right now. But it's where'd my video go? Oh, there we go. Geolocation is quite small right now, but there's no reason to wait to get involved, because there's a lot of opportunity there, and I definitely recommend it for any small business owner.
So what about when you leverage this platform, what else are you guys seeing that's coming down the road when it comes to like a mobility play like this, where is the future just can't be checking in and doing things like that? There's got to be something else, beyond couponing, beyond checking into locations. I mean, do you guys see other things that are coming down the road, or that your customers are looking at, or your clients are looking at?
Within geolocation?
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know, it's a good question. I think that for now we've seen that people are really interested in rewards. So you want to get a reward for checking in, right? I mean, a lot of people don't see the reason to check in the first place, and then the only reason they see it, the incentive would be then to get a reward. So right now, I mean, when you're really trying to expand the geolocation market and really encourage users to come to a platform that's not so popular right now, how do you do that? It's really with free and or discounted goods or experiences. So I think for now that's kind of where it is. To be honest. I haven't really seen, a huge drive or a huge need for anything else with it right now. But I would have to think about it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is such a different approach. I think a year ago or a year and a half ago, even when Foursquare started. And Gowalla started, the idea of checking in and identifying where I am is alien to people. And now you've got kind of over 2 million people combined that are doing this on a regular basis, that are driving this. What do you see, like, now that Twitter's doing the same thing, right? And it's only a matter of time. I think Facebook is going to do location-based stuff as well. How is that, with that collective might, it's got to be pretty powerful. It's obviously an emerging trend if these guys are getting involved this early on. It's not proven, really. Small percentage of the world or mobile users are doing this, but two of the biggest brand names in social are jumping on. So this has got to be emerging, right?
I think that I think the people that use geolocation, the early adopters, I think when you have a group like that realizes the potential of something, it's the same thing happened. It has to happen that way. It happened with Facebook, it happened with Twitter, it happens with any platform where the early adopters see a real, you see a trend. You see, the fact that people get addicted to checking in, the fact that you check in wherever you go, is the fact that, is kind of proof, I think, in itself that it'll work with a large scale audience. Now there's all these issues with privacy. People are worried about, if I check in at my home, or if I check in at work, then people are going to know where I am. Well, it's the same thing as saying where you are on Twitter. Half the time on Twitter, you're declaring where you are without even realizing it. So I think, privacy is one reason that people are worried about it. Also, the smartphone audience in itself is a little bit small right now. So, Facebook and Twitter don't necessarily have to operate off of a mobile platform. But I think that the fact that the early adopters have really accepted it just so much and so widespreadly is probably the reason that Foursquare or that Twitter and Facebook are getting into it. I can't really pinpoint what it is about geolocation, but it's definitely coming. I think that it's the next maybe the next logical step.
Yeah.
You said that social networking is kind of going mobile,
yeah.
And then you think about you use your phone. Just kind of you think about it. You use your phone wherever you are, and sometimes you want to let people know, where you are. That's what really where it started was the simple need to tell people where you are.
Yeah.
Twitter asks, "What are you doing?" Now Foursquare asks, "Where are you?" And I think that was maybe a simple desire, but now as with anything, it kind of just develops into something else. And now brands are seeing the reason to get involved. And once more and more brands get involved, I think then you'll begin to see the audience explode also, because there'll be more and more incentives to use it. Right now it's still kind of in that early adopter phase, but I think we're kind of getting out of it.
Well, yeah, you kind of project a little bit and think, instead of buying 50/50 tickets, you check in at Gowalla and those kind of things. Microtransactions, do you kind of see something like this happening where you can start to monetize this a little bit? It's a terrible word, but you know what I mean, right? It slips out every once in a while, but inside the app, inside Gowalla or Foursquare, you can actually, do donations or, a 99-cent contribution to something if you're walking by the Salvation Army or something.
Absolutely. I mean, the uses are really, you're just thinking about it, thinking about all the possible uses, it's kind of staggering, but, you always think about getting something in return. Well, what about donating something? What about, we're not quite at the point right now where you walk down the street and you just get these notifications, but it's going to happen where you're walking down the street and, you walk by McDonald's and they offer you something, and then you walk by the Salvation Army and they ask you if you want to donate something. So, we're going to reach a point where I think transactions are fully possible, and I think it's likely to happen. I think they're probably taking it one step at a time, but yeah, you're seeing this other trend in mobile with Venmo and Square and all these kind of mobile transaction platforms that allow you to very easily and a lot of times with SMS just make a payment. So I think that it's fully possible that we'll see these kind of mashups forming, and that would be quite interesting. I think adding that transaction ability to Foursquare or Gowalla would be a huge advantage, and maybe whoever gets there first is going to have the better advantage, because like I said, Foursquare is much bigger than Gowalla right now, but it's still so early. And when you compare the Foursquare audience of 1.9 million to Gowalla's 350,000, well, does it really matter? Because you're trying to get to where Facebook is, right?
Exactly.
So
it's far from one, right?
Yeah, it's a brand new battle.
And I think that's what there's so many things like this Adweek article that kind of came out. I think it was a day or so or 2 days ago about Foursquare's inability to respond to all the brands that are coming at them. Right? They say like every brand, or not every brand, but quite a large number of brands are glomming onto Foursquare because they're the leader, the market leader right now. But Foursquare is a relatively small company, and up until recently was relatively underfunded, and had to make do with what they had. So these brands were approaching them, and they're significant brands, and Foursquare just didn't have the manpower to get back to them because they were too small. Now they got 20 million in some nice breathing room. But when you think about that, you really are at the beginning of this industry. But how does these 2.2 million users is so small. But how do you compete then if you're one of those guys against Twitter and the fact that they bought Tweety and they're moving into that mobile space and they're stamping everything with a location and they're leveraging, or is it Twitter that's leveraging the location of all the locations database that Foursquare has? So it's how do you you're kind of
it's a big when Twitter and Facebook, when the two big guns in the industry say they're going to get involved, then you start to worry a little bit. I think Foursquare and Gowalla both in the last couple of months have picked it up considerably in terms of what they're doing with brands. But if they're not able to respond, if Facebook or if Foursquare isn't able to respond, or Gowalla isn't able to respond to these big brands, well, in 3 months when Facebook is there and Twitter is there and they're fully capable of accepting that kind of challenge, then Foursquare and Gowalla are going to lose out, and that's a big it's a big fear, I'm sure, for Foursquare and Gowalla. They want to get these relationships early. They want to develop a relationship with Coke and Pepsi and Starbucks and all these big brands that when Facebook comes out with their platform, then they'll already be working with Foursquare. They'll already have seen the advantages, and they're going to probably stick with them. But if they can't step up to the challenge, then it's going to be a big problem. Brands are going to drive this industry, I think. Brands are going to be the reason, like I said, that a lot of more users get involved. So I think that it's in Foursquare and Gowalla's best interest to work with as many brands as possible to develop those relationships. And I think they really are focusing there now. But yeah, it's an interesting article and interesting debate because Facebook and Twitter are coming.
Yeah, they are, and they're like they're monsters right now. But now, what do you think? Is this like it's a natural extension into the sports industry, right? So the Nets, the Knicks, the Yankees, the Mets, right? So you start to build this community in New York and around New York and New Jersey, the Devils, right? The Islanders. Right? There's enough teams in there that this could be. There's an industry right around that space. So do you leverage what you're doing with the Nets with all the other franchises in the area, or does Gowalla kind of decide that they're going to go after the NBA as a whole, or does it matter if one's Foursquare, one's Gowalla?
No, I think that it doesn't do much. I think it's best, it's in the Nets' best interest to get any other sports team in the area involved with geolocation, because then you're going to raise awareness about and raise the user base size, just by doing it. I think Gowalla and Foursquare's goals would be to attack the NBA or the MLB as a whole and really get control of every team. Yeah. I think from an individual team's perspective, you want to see as many other teams on there as possible. You just want to be doing it the best. So right now, we haven't seen a ton of teams get involved yet still with Gowalla. Right after the Nets launched their first campaign with Gowalla, the NBA did a playoff experience with Gowalla. So, clearly things are moving, but it's best to get involved early and then kind of leverage the followings of the other teams as they start to build their own. And yeah, I think, the more the merrier. I think that it's best if the Nets have the ability to kind of interact with the Knicks fan base also. It's a good thing. You want competitors there. You just want to be doing it better, and you want to be doing it first. So that's really where the Nets are.
I like that, and the fact that they're willing to do these things up front is part of that great. There has to be somebody who bites the bullet and does it first, and why not the Nets, and certainly why not leverage the knowledge that's in VaynerMedia to do that. I think it's a good mix, and I'm intrigued to find out at the end of this this billboard what else is next, because every time I think this is a unique idea. Like I love the IZOD or the last home game ticket giveaway. I thought that was. That really opened my eyes to what this technology could do, how to leverage it. And then this is just another example of that, is that, you've got to embrace it in every facet, right?
Yeah, it's really about, something we stress a lot with our clients is, when you put messaging out for your website or for your phone number, why are you leaving out the Facebook and the Twitter and the Gowalla and all of your presences that exist there that are equally as important, and you put tons of effort into these platforms as well. So why are you leaving them out? It's really about using all the platforms you're capable of using and extending the story where possible. Creating an experience and add an experience for users, and then promoting it as much as possible. If you put your website on your game programs, then you should put Foursquare and Gowalla and Twitter and Facebook there also. You need to be treating them like they're serious, platforms, because they are. And I think that that's really what we're trying to do with the Nets is, everything we think about is, we're always thinking about which platforms we can capitalize on. In this case, it was Gowalla, but in the next case, it might be something else. And we're always just trying to really extend the story. It's create more experiences and interaction and try to grab as many people as possible. And maybe you capture one who becomes a fan, and then they bring in all this value for you in the next 20, 30, 50 years. So it's just about getting to as many people as possible. And like I said, just extending the story and putting it out as much as possible. And that's what we're trying to do.
Well, like it just seems that what you guys are doing. I mean, I anticipate the next move that you guys do, because it's never passive. It's always bold. I made that statement that putting up that billboard, the Nets doing that is a VaynerMedia move, and I think that's what they expect. They'll look to you. Every one of us, I think, looks to you guys to see what are those Vaynerchuk guys doing, the VaynerMedia guys doing again to push the boundary of what it is that this technology allows you to do. So yeah, I hope to have you back on again, talking about the next thing.
Absolutely. Hopefully it'll be soon. We're always trying to figure out the next way to kind of just push the envelope, and it happened. We're happy this opportunity came upon us, and yeah, we're just always looking to do it better, and keep staying kind of on top of the game.
But I think that's what's really cool about it is that you've reached that point for VaynerMedia where people are like the Nets are coming to you to say, listen, okay, 5 days before this goes up, tell us what we need to do here in order to be able to embrace or have more people embrace this and do it a little bit interactive. And I think that's got to be absolutely satisfying to be at that point. So kudos and congratulations to you guys for doing that.
Thank you.
So listen, I've been speaking with, taking some time away from Sam's day. I've been speaking with Sam Taggart from VaynerMedia, live from New York City, talking about the Gowalla New Jersey Nets a mural that was painted in front of Madison Square Garden with this little Gowalla check-in, and the response and the impact that's had, and some thoughts on where it's going. So listen, Sam, thank you so much again, man, for coming on.
No problem.
Make this a quarterly thing. If you guys keep doing it, I think that you could have a regular spot.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, Sam.
All right. Bye-bye.